Welcome. This is to prepare you for the test 3-2 review or the final that's coming up this fall. So let's begin now. Whoops. Number one, Serena bought 5 shirts for $6 each and spent $7 on lunch. She paid for the shirts and lunch using her debit card. The change in the balance of Serena's checking account can be represented by the expression shown. So this is an order operation problem. So what do you see on this left side? So again, in order operation, addition and subtraction are the least important operation. So 5 groups of -6 is -30. Well, -7. -30 plus -7 is -37. Number 2, Dolores spent $13 out of the $20 in her wallet. What decimal represents the fraction of the $20 Dolores spent? So the relationship, $13 out of 20. So what percent would that be? Times 5, 6,500, or she spent about 65% of the money she had. To represent that, it would be letter D. So it says 13 out of 20. Complete the equivalence table. 18%. What do you know about percent? Percent means anything out of 100. 18 out of 100. Or how do you say it as a decimal? 1800. If you had to simplify 1800, you would just divide by 2 and get 9/50. So 6/20. How do you build this to 100%? Times 5, 30 hundredths, or 30%. Is 3/10 the same thing as 30 hundredths? It is. You annex a 0. 7. Put the students from least to greatest. On a number line, it goes from least to greatest. So let's start with the negative. I see negative 71.6% and -9. Well, negative 71.6% is farther from 0 than -9%. So we're done with these two. Next one, 7/10 to build it to 100% times 10 is 70%. 9/25 to build it to 100 times 4 is 36%. And this is Gen X is 0, 40%. So it's 36% is less than 40%, which is less than 70%. That's why it's Ahmad, Carson, Corey, Jonah, and Katie. Number 8, there are 4 points graphed on the grid below. Which point on the grid appears to be located at this? So we know that we always start at the origin. You either go to the x-axis. Left is negative, right is positive. Then you do the y-axis. If it's above, it's positive, below is negative. So the first one is positive. So we know it cannot be t. So the second number is negative. So you go down. So it's going to be one of these. So let's look at the first one, 5/2. How would you say that as a division problem? 5 divided by 2. 5 divided by 2 goes in 2 times. Annex a 0. 5 goes into 10 2 times. Wait. Oh my God. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So it's 2.5. So you go over 1, 2, and a half. So it must be W. D is the only one that makes sense. So number 9, you will have to know how to multiply fraction, divide fractions, multiply decimal, and divide decimal. So the first one, it says find a product of 4/5 and 1/2. If you multiply this, multiply the numerator 4, multiply the denominator 10. 4/10, which simplify, divide by 2, 2/5. Next one, what do you remember about dividing fractions? Do you remember something called reciprocal? You have to flip the second number, which is 1/3. So how do you say 3 and 2/3 as an improper fraction? 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11/3, times the reciprocal flip 31. So multiply it, 33 over 3, which is 11. You will have to know how to divide decimals. So do we like working with decimal? I don't. So write this as a division problem. 3 and 40 divided by 20 Do they have the same place value? They do. I don't like working with decimals, so I'm going to multiply it by 100 because these are 100. 10's 100, 10 100. So it's 340 divided by 20, which is 17. And last but not least, multiply decimals. So multiply decimals, you just multiply normally. 8 and 51 times 7 4 10. So you multiply. But then you have this long number, 62974. So you see 3 places. You jump it 3 places. That's why it's 62 and 974 thousandths. 13. Wyatt hiked 6 miles in 2 hours. That means if you broke this down, every hour he does what? 3 miles. At this rate, what is the total number of miles Wyatt can hike in 9 hours? So we could do it, so make a table. You could do an up and down relationship. 2 times 3 is 6 miles. 9 times 3 is 27. Or you can do a side-to-side relationship. He really does 3 miles every hour. So if there's 9 hours times 9 is 27. Shandira is baking cookies. To make 24 cookies, his recipe requires 3 eggs. Using this recipe, what is the total number of cookies he will make with 8 eggs? So 3 eggs require 24, make 24 cookies. 8 eggs. Do an up and down relationship. Times 8 times 8, 64 cookies. Or you do a side to side. Each egg can make 8 cookies. So you have 1 egg, 8 cookies. If you have 8 eggs, and each egg makes 8 cookies, 8 times 8 is 64. 15, using this math chart, Sean's boat is 18 and 5/10 meter. What is his boat in centimeters? Where's meters? Right here. Each meter, 1 meter, is 100 centimeters. So 1 meter is 100 centimeters. What is the relationship here? From 1 meter to 18.5 meters times 18.5. 100 times 18.5 is 1,850. Or you can do an up and down relationship. Times 100, 18.5 times 100 is 1,850. An earthworm has a length of 128 millimeters. What is the length in centimeters? Where's millimeter? Oh, here it is. Millimeters is centimeters. So 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So I'll put 128 on the bottom. Do you want to do an up and down relationship? How do you turn 10 to 1? Divide by 10. 128 divided by 10 is 1 time, 2 times, annex is 0, 12.8. Or you could do a side-to-side relationship, if that's easier for you. But I think an up and down relationship is easy. Tori, so let's do, so percents. What do you remember percent? You have to make something called percent bar. What percent goes here if the whole bar is shaded? 100%. Tori saved 40% on her monthly paycheck for college. She earned $560 last month. How much did she save? Do you want to do an up and down relationship? If you do an up and down relationship, it's times 5.6 or 224. B. But maybe you prefer a side-to-side relationship. I like breaking down 100% down to 10%. How do you turn 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. So 560 divided by 10 is 56. How do you build it back to 40%? Times 4. 56 times 4 is 224. At a concert, 20% of the audience members were teenagers. Let's make a percent bar. So 20%. If the number of teenagers were 360, so it goes right here. Here's 100%. That's everybody. What is the total number of audience members? So relationship is times 5. Times 5 is 1,800. C. 19. 6 guests at a hotel call for room service. There are 75 guests at this hotel. What percent of the guests call for room service? So 6 guests, 100%, 75 guests. So how would we like to do this one? There are many ways you could do this one. We could break down. Oh, we can simplify this. We could break this down. You want to? We could break it down to 10% if you want to do that one. Or we could simplify and divide it by 25. Divide by 25. And you get 4 and 3. How do you build 3 to 6 times 2 times 2? 8%. A is the answer. Or you can make a table, 6 out of 75, simplify to 2/25. How do you build it to 100%? Times 4, 8%. What is the prime factorization of 63? So 63. Prime factorization means you got to make a tree. 9 times 7. I circle 7 because it's prime. 9 3 times 3, circle, circle. 3 to the power 2 times 7 equals 63. 21. Order operation again. I highlight the addition. It's the least supported operation. So on the left side, I see 127 and 50 minus 23 and 50. If I subtract these two decimal, it's 104. That's why A and B are wrong. On the right side, I see three groups of 8650 plus 4. 8650 and 50 plus 4 is 90 and 50. That's why C makes more sense. And 22, another order operation. So I highlight the least one. That's 12. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And then 3 times 20. So 12 plus 64 plus 24 is 100. Which one of these will give you 100? This 2 times 2, 4. 5 times 5 is 25. That's 100. So A is the only one that makes 100. This is 10. This is some really, really large number. I think it's 625. 8 times 25 is 200. Only one that makes 100. And the last one, which ratio is equivalent to 4 to 5? If I try 8, 12, the relationship is times 2. This should have been a 10. No. If I try 12, 15, the relationship is times 3, and that is what makes it. So this is to get you ready for test 3-2 review.